All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Before we get into today's show, apparently, did you guys hear about Justin Trudeau resigning? Well, let's take a look at this, you guys. Now, what is this all about? Well, they want us to believe that this is probably something good, but in fact, it probably won't be good. Canada's PM, Justin Trudeau, announces resignation. Now, apparently, this is not taking effect right away, but I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on so that you can, be prepared going into the rest of this winter. Now, today we're going to get an update on the infamous Outlander series. The TV series that came out, gosh, I guess it's been about 10 years since this TV series came out. This was the most popular TV show on Starz. And what has emerged is essentially the autobiography of Trump's mother in this TV series. And this is likely where he acquired whatever demon is possessing him. I'm going to give you irrefutable evidence today that suggests that all is not what it seems when it comes to the Trump family. Now, this is his Scottish roots. We're not going to talk about his father's roots today. We're talking about his Scottish roots. Now, we all know that there is a Trumpman church in which people were burned alive inside, and this involved Trump's McLeod bloodline. Yes, his mother's name was Marianne McLeod, and they were actually the ones inside the Trumpman church. Here's a Wikipedia article on it. We also know that his grandmother died on 6/6/66. This is her here. And so there's something to this, isn't there? Now, the graphic that you see on your screen is what we're going to get into today. And we're going to do a quick recap, and then I'll fill you in on the update to season 7 of Outlander. Now, there are so many synchronicities between the main character in Outlander and Trump's mother. It's chilling. The series follows a woman named Claire Fraser, and we had really begun to identify Claire's name as a name dealing with looking glass, because Claire means clear. We began to see this name pop up surrounding women by the same name. In different TV series, different movies, Claire seems to always be associated with time travel. Well, in the TV series Outlander, she goes through a time portal in Scotland where she meets her new husband, Jamie. She's trapped in the past. Claire Fraser is Trump's mother, Marianne McLeod. Now, how do I know this? Well, that's what I'm going to explain to you. Claire first passes through the Standing Stone portal on the Witches' Festival of Samhain. And the actress who plays Claire was born with 88 days left in the year. Now, how does this connect to Trump's mother? Well, she was killed at the age of 88 on Samhain, which is Halloween. That's when Trump's mother died. Now, other synchronicities that connect Claire to Marianne McLeod is what you're looking at on your screen. The proximity and heading of the standing stones that are featured in the series. The proximity and heading to the birthplace of Trump's mother in Scotland. Literally 14 miles away at a 77-degree heading. You can look all this up on Google Earth. And when you connect the lines between the standing stones of Callanish, which are featured in the TV series, when you connect the line to Trump's mother's home, they literally line up together. In fact, as you can see on your screen here, the standing stones in the lower right-hand corner here, let's zoom this up a little bit so you guys can see this. Now, for many of you, this is review, but for the people that are new to the channel, you're just in shock right now. You can't even believe this. Here's an aerial view of the standing stones, and as you can see, the general alignment, when you just draw a line from the stones 14 miles away to Trump's mother's house, it literally lines up with the alignment of the house and the roof line, as you can see here, at 77 degrees. Let that sink in for a minute. Now, there's far more to this, and that's what we're going to get into today. Far more evidence that all is not what it seems. All of what I'm saying today can be looked up and verified with your own research. You can go into Google Earth and draw this line to his mother's home, and you'll see the alignment, and you won't even believe it, but there it is. Now, where is Trump's mother's home? Well, her birthplace is in the village of Tong on the Isle of Lewis. Now, the entire island was named after the Trump families. The name Lewis is the variation on the word Leodis, Leodis. Leodis is Lewis. And something just popped into my head. Low Earth orbit is the first three letters of inside the name McLeod. Leo. And this has been Trump's fascination. This is why he brought Elon Musk on, because Starlink exists in low Earth orbit. So I think we just cracked the code of LEO. Now, in the series, they renamed these stones. They call them Crag Nadoon. And here, let me show that to you here. This is unbelievable. Now, here's the aerial view to show you the proximity on the Isle of Lewis, the Callanish standing stones. This is the wide angle view to Tong and Trump's mother's house. Here's a better view of the actual standing stones and the alignment. It looks like a cross with a circle in it. And apparently this family is far more important than we could have ever imagined. And I don't think for the reasons that we think. Now, here's the Crag Nadoon. This is what they renamed the standing stones, but it says right here in the article that these are based off of the standing stones of Callanish. And there's a little bit more to this, because every time they passed through these stones, it was on one of the witches' calendar's dates. And here's the new information, the update. Because, as you can see here, in 1968, Claire makes her third passage through the cleft stone on Samhain back to 1766. She then travels again on just before Beltane. In fact, every time she passes through the portals, it is on or near Beltane or Samhain. Well, I looked up Beltane and Samhain on the witch's calendar, and here it is here. Now, understand, I get people come at me all different kinds of ways, to defend Trump. And at the end of the day, it's all to defend Trump, right? So what people will say, you shouldn't be looking at this stuff. And these are the people defending Trump. It's as if they don't want to know. But here it is. Beltane and Samhain on opposite ends of the witch's calendar. So there's something going on here, isn't there? There's something wrong. Now, we dug into this and we found out that during those months, Samhain and Beltane, sacrifices required. And they do this because the veil is lowest, and this is when the demons can pass through portals. This is according to which belief system? You see, Trump was destined to rule all the way back to his mother's MacLeod bloodline. In fact, it was all prophesied in a particular prophecy called the Bran Seer prophecy. Now, what does the Bran Seer prophecy say? The Bran Seer prophecy says that Donald MacLeod will rule with a dirty needle. Now, they call it a sooty kabar. A kabar is like a knife or a needle. Sooty is dirty, black, dirty, a dirty needle. Now, let's flush this out because there's a lot more. There's a case, isn't there, that we're building about what's really going on here. Now, Trump's mother's home, her birthplace, sits at 58° north parallel. In fact, much of the Isle of Lewis falls on the 58° north parallel. And as we know, Trump would win the 58th presidential quadrennial election 58 years after 1958. He knew he would all the way back in 1983. How did he know? Well, he built Trump Tower to be both 58 and 66 stories tall. And you can ask him why he numbered it that way, but that's what it is. He also bought Mar-a-Lago that had 58 bedrooms. And then Trump would go on to win both presidencies. Listen very closely. Both presidencies. 58 years after 1958 and 66 years after 1958. He won both presidencies. 58 years after 1958 and 66 years after 1958. And the 58-66 numbers are all over this. Even going back to the year of time travel that Claire Fraser went through the Standing Stones. Wow. Now, back to Outlander. Let's dig in a little bit more. Because in one particular episode that we decoded, Claire uses the fangs of a snake as a needle, as a hypodermic needle, a syringe, to administer anti-venom to save her husband's life. Yes, snake fangs are syringes. And we had exposed that long before that episode aired, and it confirmed everything that we were talking about. That fangs are hollow needles. Now, the entire Outlander series was based on this book series. And the author seemed to know everything that was going to happen before it happened. I believe Jamie actually represents Donald Trump because Jamie basically becomes a Freemason and a builder, and he runs a printing press, and there's literally, they show the Freemasonry symbolism all connected to him in the earlier seasons. And he came to America to rule, just like the Bran Seer prophecy said he would. Now, I got some clips from this. This is insane. Because what happens next is Claire's granddaughter. This is from season 7. Claire's granddaughter, you can see her holding the baby here. That's Claire's granddaughter. Here's Claire in the middle, and Jamie's behind, and then this is the husband of Claire's daughter. And her granddaughter, the little baby, has a heart condition, and the only way to save her is to travel forward in time to where there's better medicine and surgeries. They travel to 1980, for heart surgery. Well, let's take a look. Now, they go through a different set of standing stones here. It's not in Scotland. It's actually in North Carolina. And these stones are called the Okra Coke, as you can see on your screen here. And they reveal in the series that there are multiple portals all around the world. This particular one falls within the Bermuda Triangle, they say. And let me show you this clip first, and then I'll explain to you the significance of these standing stones in relation to the other standing stones.
Maybe.
So they make it through, and it's confirmed by this swamp. And it's inferred that they've arrived very close to a place called the Great Dismal Swamp. Let's keep watching here.
You just have to think of someone or someplace. That's how you steer.
Steer.
Yes. You have to concentrate. You have to go there with a clear head. Nobody knows how it works. Not exactly. And focus.
That's all.
Yes. And you'll get where you're supposed to be, I promise.
So that is Outlander. Now, the first couple of seasons of this was rich with symbolism. They literally say in the first episode that it's the festival of Samhain. And then Claire goes to the standing stone, she passes through, and that's where she gets lost in time. But what's up with the swamp? Well, a couple of episodes after the one you just saw, there is a Great Dismal Swamp episode. Now, this is a bizarre place. This is a real place. A massive swamp off the coast of Virginia with unexplainable and supernatural properties. Now, in history, it's a place where the slaves escaped to hide out. They would clear fields in the highlands of the swamp, just out of the water. And they would grow things down there and hide because no one wanted to go into the swamp. And there's a lake at the center of the swamp. But weirdly, the lake is not the sunken center of the swamp. It's raised up on a hill. It's actually the highest point of the swamp. And it's unexplainable. Nobody knows how the water stays up there. There are no tributaries feeding into it, obviously, because it's on a hill. It's all this is in the Wikipedia article, you guys. I'm not making any of this up. And then a few episodes after this swamp, where they're time traveling basically to a swamp, then they talk about the Great Dismal Swamp, very close to this location. So this begs the question, drain the swamp, right? Now, I fully believe that the Great Dismal Swamp is probably a portal of some kind as well. They're actually really talking about the Great Dismal Swamp is what they're really talking about with these standing stones. That's what I think's happening. But they're just not coming out and saying it. But there's something weird about this. Now, this is only one of 2 natural lakes in all of the state of Virginia. The other one is up in the mountains, and it's a weird swamp. It's a weird lake as well. It literally drains by itself all the way to nothing and then fills up again in some years. And it's a natural lake, and it's at the top of a mountain. Once again, you don't see really any tributaries going into it. So these must be portals, maybe portals of the deep, talked about in the Bible. Dismal swamp. Wow. Now, I got a couple headlines for you guys before we end the show today. Let me check in with you guys, see what you guys think about all this. Now, everything I just presented to you was the conglomeration of about 8 years of research into Trump. Well, there's a whole playlist on all of this. I just gave you the Cliff Notes version of it all, but we go into much higher detail on the playlist. And I think it's called like Trump Prophecies or something like that. Anything with Trump's name on it in my playlist list will be what you're looking for. Trump and the Scottish Prophecy, I think is what it's called. And today we added the extra information about the year 1766 and how that technically basically describes Trump's two presidencies, both 58 and 66 years after 1958. And that's not an accident. They all knew. They knew he would be president. So what does that do to your worldview? Well, hopefully it helps you understand that all of these people are in the club together. These numbers are not accidents. Now, a couple more stories for you guys before we pop off of here. This is actually pretty funny. Ice-T, the rapper, got pulled over in the DMV parking lot as he was trying to update the registration in his on his car. Let's see if we could play this. This is hilarious. Let's refresh this. Now, remember, Ice-T became famous with his F the Police body count ban in the 1990s. As you guys know, I've told the story. I actually met Ice-T during the 1990s in those years, back when I was fast asleep. I was in college, and my friend booked us tickets at the Anaconda, which is a snake. I mean, if you think about the world of darkness and how most people are spiritually asleep, sometimes you can't even believe it, especially when you look back on your own life. Isla Vista was essentially a swamp, and there was the Anaconda on Halloween of 1992, I think was the year. We saw body count, and there's some infamous picture of me in a mosh pit back in my college years. My friend has the Polaroid of it, but he keeps, he can't pull out the college stuff because it might upset his wife. But for those of you that know where Isla Vista is, it's very close to Santa Barbara, and it's a really small venue. And so that was my experience with body count and Ice-T. Now, what is this about? Well, literally, he's in the DMV parking lot and he gets pulled over by the police. Let's take a look at this.
How's it going, sir?
Let's take a look at it. Let's laugh.
What's up, officer? Officer Zelle, Hudson County Sheriff's Office. Let you know you're being recorded, okay?
I'm headed to the DMV. That's where I'm going to get all my registration and everything straight on this car.
My registration.
When did you decide to go and change?
Yesterday. I went yesterday, but
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the registration been expired since 2021.
the car's been parked.
Are you sure?
Yeah, of course I'm sure. That's why I'm trying to get this car set up to go. Yesterday I went to the DMV and they said that their system was down, so that's where I'm headed. I got 7 cars. I'm trying to get them.
I got 7 cars. Now, what is this about? This is a hazing ritual, okay? This is, okay, what this is about, this is all probably scripted. It's to project the consequences of the programming. Let me say that again. These rituals are meant to project the consequences of the programming onto the people who adopted the Ice-T programming, right? Which is the angry black man against the police. Now, how do I know this? Because I was one of those people brainwashed by this. This is why we went to go see him at the Anaconda. We're angry against the police. There was a whole era of this stuff going on. Pauly Royal, they were flipping cars over and damaging property. And then when they get you into the system, start writing you fines and tickets, they steal your property. They steal your record. So now you have a record. And so they're just perpetuating this. Unlawful search and seizure, ticketing, fining, even when you have a logical explanation for what you're doing. That's the ritual here. Let's watch the rest of this. I got 7 cars. Wow.
All straight.
You say you went to DMV yesterday? They said the system is down?
Yesterday, yep.
What time was your appointment yesterday?
I didn't have an appointment. They just take me.
I'm Iced Tea. I don't need a damn appointment.
I don't need one.
Why is that?
Because they know me.
Because I'm Iced Tea.
Drive without a vehicle who was registered and get this one
Can I
registered.
handle this? Can I handle this? You gonna take me to jail?
I'm not going to take you to jail.
Okay, can I park the car here and walk to the DMV?
I'm going to tow your vehicle.
No, you're not. You're not finna tow my vehicle. Let me park my car right here.
You're not going to move your car, sir. You give me your keys right now, and I'm going to tow your vehicle. No, don't touch me. Don't
give me
like that.
Give me my paperwork. Get this on camera. This is, I'm a
Now, any other black man in whatever he's driving, is that a Porsche, who gets out of the car and gets an officer's face is already going to get tased or shot, correct? That's how you know this is fake, because the officer just sits there and talks back and forth with him like nothing.
foot away from
you,
DMV.
keep your distance.
You are a f***ing asshole.
I'm not an asshole. You've been an asshole to me.
I'm an asshole. I'm trying to get to the DMV. I showed you all the paperwork. Let me start recording you.
I got 7 cars.
So 5-6, start the hook and start them out the unit. So what happened, Sarge?
What's up, Sarge?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How are you?
We got Iced Tea here.
DMV to register my car.
Now, the funny part, the other reason why you know this is fake is because they're pretending like they don't know who this is, right? Everybody knows who Ice-T is. And so they're treating him just like any other black man they pull over in a Porsche. And that's not what's happening here.
Okay. I got all the paperwork and everything there. I asked the officer, could I just go over here or even park my car so that I could walk over there and get all my paperwork together? He says he wants to tow my car.
All right, give me a second. Let me find out what's going on here, and then we'll figure something out, okay?
Okay.
You're, like I said, you're going to leave the car here and just go to DMV.
Yeah. I'm walking DMV and handle the business.
So, but you do know your registration is expired and your license too. Right?
That's what I'm going for.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that I didn't know if you just knew your registration was expired. You got both.
I got everything.
Okay, all right. All right? All right, no, I'm good. All right, you just the way he shooted me, okay. I was going to park the vehicle, no tickets issued, but just next time show some respect. That's all I got to say.
Wow. Unbelievable. So what are you guys' thoughts on this story? F the police. Unreal. Okay, I'm back in the chat. I got 7 cars. Wow. So let's let this chat catch up for a minute before we finish up today. Yes, it's tyrant programming to get you to accept it. And this is why you don't buy into their programming, their personas. You don't buy into all that, because when you buy into the persona, that's what sets you up for the honey trap. And it triggers officers because they're programmed to react to the persona. So you got the Pied Pipers presenting the persona. And, you know, what's the draw? Like, why would someone want to adopt these personas? Well, because we're given the impression that with that persona comes women and money and cars and a rap career, right? So youth are drawn into this scenario, right? And then when you act out the persona, you fall right into the honey trap. You're essentially creating work for the cops. And I hope you're awake to this, because this is vitally important, especially for young people. Don't buy into these personas. It's a trap. It's no different. Let's flip the script, as I always say. Because, you know, oh, Casey, you know, you shouldn't be saying this about, you know, people of color or people that adopt this persona. Well, there was, guess what? My friends that invited me and got tickets to this Anaconda, they were all white and Asian. So white and Asian people adopt the persona too. This isn't about color. Okay. It's not about color, but let's flip the script, because here's another example of how it's not about color. Look what happened with Trump. They adopted his persona, didn't they? They all showed up to the crapper hole. And what happened? It was a giant honey trap. Thousands of people rounded up. To this day, they're still rounding people up. So let's get into this next story. Here's another hilarious story. Let's get updated here. You guys are going to laugh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see if there's a video here. You know, who in their right mind would get into a self-driving vehicle? I mean, you've got to be literally like a scary person to want to do that. Who gets into a computer AI-driven car? This guy did. He got into a Waymo self-driving car trying to catch his flight, and he got trapped in an endless loop as the Waymo car just kept driving in circles around the airport. Just kept looping around. So he missed his flight and he's all angry. You know, this guy should be happy because he got way more than he paid for, didn't he? I mean, who named this company? Why would you name a company that you could do endless jokes on? Waymo. They should have renamed it Way Better. Oh my gosh. Now, what else is going on? On kind of a serious note. Now we know we don't have to be serious about this because we don't care. We know these people are liars. Controllers are ramping up for another possible pandemic. Here we go, you guys. They're calling it HMPV. China sees rise in cases. They always started off in China. China Health. Let's see if there's a video here. Wow. You know, today it's HMPV. Tomorrow it'll be HMVP, HMVIP. It doesn't matter. It's always something.
Let's play cover this. Story.
The cover story.
Respiratory virus called.
See, they even call it a cover story.
HMPV.
Wow, let's back this up.
The search term has a respiratory virus called HMPV.
Here's our cover story.
The search term has over 10 million views on TikTok, has many people wondering what exactly it is. Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Jen Ashton is here to explain. It presents like a cold.
Pretty much. Upper respiratory infection, most of the time, it can hit the lower respiratory tract. It's not new. It was first identified over 20 years ago.
Vaccines.
But CDC is tracking higher number of cases before the pandemic even started. This is the same virus as RSV, measles, mumps. Symptoms, just like you said, George, kind of a bad cold, nasal congestion, cough. You can see a fever, occasionally shortness of breath. It can progress to bronchitis or in some cases pneumonia. But this is a perfect example. We've been so COVID, RSV, influenza focused. We have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, and that's not the only virus out there.
Here we go.
Another example.
And it is a virus, so is it treatable?
So no vaccine right now, no antiviral treatment per se. We normally
but we've got a new one on the market because we can now treat viruses with.
Just follow this and treat conservatively based on symptoms. Most people recover on their own, so treatment is what we call supportive. You know, most of the time people will get better within 5 or 7 days. How you prevent it, people are bored.
5 or 7 days, 5, 7, 5G frequencies.
I'm tired of hearing about this, but it bears repeating. Hand hygiene, staying away from others if you're sick, covering your mouth when you
become a hermit.
You cough or sneeze.
Stay in your home so the drones could surveil you.
The basics.
And the virus spiked this spring. How serious could it get?
Well, I mean, we have to track these things. And I know people have that.
Track and trace.
You know, pandemic fatigue and psychological fatigue.
You think?
And they don't like hearing about it. So we don't know. Viruses mutate for a living. It can always change. Our susceptibility can change. We have to remember it's how we behave, how the virus behaves, and how we behave together. And they started to see an increase, 36% increase in cases even before the pandemic started. So most of the time we're out of the season by this time, but people just need to keep this on their radar.
And you always keep us on our radar where everything needs
radar, millimeter waves
to go for medical needs. Thank you, Dr. Jen. We love having you.
Wow. So, will this happen? I don't know what's happening, what's going on here, but what else is going on, you guys? Well, of course, they want us all on our vaccine regimens. That's the goal. And only the truth will set you free from the fear that brainwashes people into buying into all this. Well, here's the thumbnail for tomorrow. A TV show from 2 years ago. The TV show is called The Rig, and it's all about an oil rig. You know, a platform that inserts a needle down into the earth and draws out black goo. Essentially, it's a giant syringe. And in the TV series, this mysterious fog overtakes the rig. It's filled with strange ash. And when you shine a flashlight through it, it doesn't look normal. What does the fog do? It causes an intense autoimmune reaction. Does all this sound familiar? Because it should, because it's all happening right now, 2 years after this series came out. There's even a guy, the first one that's infected by the fog, his eyes turn bloodshot. Just like the Cybertruck bomber's eyes, which, by the way, this image is no longer available anywhere on the internet. You cannot find this image anywhere. I did a image search, and I'll show you that tomorrow. And his image has been scrubbed from the internet. There's something they don't want you to see about that man's eyes. Okay? And you can try it yourself. Look for it. You won't find it. But yet, there it is on your screen. So, are the two connected? I think they might be. All right, I'm back in the chat, you guys. So that'll be tomorrow's show. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. All this information is important as we track the controllers and what they're up to. Try to stay out of their way, right? In these last days, only the truth can set you free. If you don't know the truth, you'll walk into all the devil's traps. So that's what we're doing here, okay? We're looking at their predictive programming and breaking it all down. All right, I'm in the chat, you guys. Yes, he was in the fog. Oh, wait. You mean the Cybertruck bomber was in the fog too? I didn't hear about that one. Is that true? Okay. Thanks, Any Blue, for the membership. He fogged up and faded out. Probably demon possession in his eyes. Now somebody, well, we'll cover that tomorrow. Waymo, pretty close to Venmo. Yeah. Casey, have you already connected the copper fusion propulsion in their craft? Copper fusion propulsion. Hadn't heard about that. Thanks, dude. Seriously, appreciate it. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, everyone thumbs up the video if you can. We've got to break the algorithms. Break the algorithms of relevance. Yeah, wasn't that crazy with Ice-T? Like, I got a chuckle out of that. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, this is hazing ritual programming. This is how they do it. This is how they do. Okay, this is why. Okay, everybody knows. Anyone who's been through a divorce realizes how dumb the whole thing is. Most people only make the mistake once. You know, when you enter into the serpent's contract. Okay, nowhere in the Bible does it say that you enter into a contract on paper and divide property and children and all these things. In fact, the only instance in which that actually happened was Solomon, and the two women came forward and one stole the other one's baby, and the true mother gave the baby away, was willing to give up the baby so that it did get cut in half by Solomon. And so we all know that this institution, the modern institution of marriage, in the definition under which the serpent has recast the definition, is nothing of what the Father intended. There were no courts, there was no custody, there was no property in the Garden of Eden or anything close to that all the way in the majority of history. That was a construct of the enemy. The only certification we get is a certification of divorce, and that's in the New Testament. But the reason why I'm saying all this is to demonstrate to you another aspect of this programming. Okay, this programming to get you to adopt what the enemy is putting forth, and that is, you see all these celebrities, right? Getting married, having children. They've been told to do that. They've been forced. They're like, hey, as part of your celebrityship, you have to get married. You know, no prenups. You very rarely see that. What you most often see is one person marrying a different person, and then that person having to give away a bunch of their fortune to the other person. Extreme amounts of fortune. We're talking millions of dollars in some cases per year that they're giving, which is far more. Now, does that sound fair to you? Does that sound fair at all? Absolutely not. But they promote this so that you copy and you do the same thing. And then when you see two people get together, you actually really think they're in love. It has nothing to do with love. These are business arrangements that they've agreed to do to project. That's the word I'm looking for, to project that lifestyle and persona back onto us, to reinforce. Now, why would they do this? Well, it's to continue the dividing of families, continue the stealing of your children, the stealing of your wealth, any wealth that you accumulate. This is why people can't get ahead, right? And to also take you away from God, because when a lot of people go through something like that, they stop believing in God. They're like, what kind of world is this? So that's what's going on with the projected programming. Because think about it. There shouldn't be one celebrity with all the attorneys they have and all this, right? There shouldn't be one celebrity that enters into a marriage without signing a prenuptial agreement, right? To protect everything that they built up to that point. But yet we see them giving away millions and millions of dollars after they've been married to someone for a few years. So that's how you know, okay? Nobody in their right mind would do that if they had all that wealth. They would protect that wealth. But instead we get the story that's the opposite of that. So that we accept it when it happens to us. We think it's normal, and it's not normal. It also employs all the courts, divorce attorneys, the courts themselves, and all the cast that goes along with managing all this stuff. It's an entire industry. It's probably a multi-billion-dollar industry. Divorce court, we all know 50 to 60% of people end up in a divorce. And who makes all that money in between? Tens of thousands, millions of dollars in attorney fees, court fees, and all these things. Well, we got to keep people employed, right? So the actors at the top have to keep projecting the persona. And that's what this is all about. So I hope that makes sense to some people. Now, of course, I'm not against marriage. You just do it under God. You do it through God. You don't insert the enemy in the middle of your marriage. And you do what's fair by God. The head of the household, the father prays, if he's led by the father, about the right thing to do in all instances. The best thing to do is not ever get a divorce, but sometimes their hearts were hardened, as the New Testament says. So marriage, we're supposed to want to be married, right? But when you put the serpent in the middle of it, you put governments in the middle of it, and you do contracts and all these things, this is where the enemy has his way. This is when he can steal your children away from you and things like this, and steal, your labor for a long time too. So, all right, guys, I'm back in the chat. Okay. Yeah, it's been cold. So, what kind of temperatures are you guys looking at where you're at? So tell me where you're at and what temperature. You can just give me the state or country. I'll start it off. Arkansas, and literally it's 17 degrees outside right now. That's cold. but I'm sure many of you have me beat. I know just north of me, they're down in the single digits. So winter is here. Oh yeah, good one, Love Cat. Fog backwards is GOF, gain of function. So that links into the whole, autoimmune thing as well. Baltimore, 22 degrees. Ohio, 19. Wow, Florida, 47. Must be nice, Patty. 60 in Eureka, California. Wow. 15 in Tulsa. 21. 2 degrees in Minnesota. Brr. South Carolina, negative 23. Is that what that said? Oregon, low 50. Yeah, the West Coast is just, the weather's pretty much stays warm all the time. Unless you're up in the mountains. All right, you guys. I guess I'll pop off of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow will be an important show about the ash fog that causes autoimmune reaction. Wow. See you guys tomorrow. Much love.